just have to clean my glasses too. Not that worried about it.
Hit the other button before you leave.
Good morning, everyone. How you doing out there? Good morning, all the folks in our Zoom stream and everybody out there in Facebook land. Hope everybody's doing well. Good morning, Taranay. Good morning, Camille.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Daryl.
Good morning.
Good morning, Farhad and Geeti. How are you doing? It's great to see both of you. And good morning, Gilbert.
Good morning, Gilbert.
Hello, Gilbert. Hope everything is well. How you doing, Daryl?
I'm doing well, sir.
You good?
How are you?
That's a personal question I'm not going to answer right now. No, I'm doing well as well. I could be doing better. There's one thing wrong.
Nini's not here.
Nini's not here with us. The lovely and talented Nini Ha is not here. But we shall forge forth. She's working hard way down there in South Florida. I guess we should go ahead and begin. Hi there, Farah.
Hi, how are you?
We're good. I have wakened in thy shelter, oh my God, and it becometh him that seeketh a shelter to abide within the sanctuary of thy protection and the stronghold of thy defense. Illumine my inner being, oh my Lord, with the splendors of the day spring, thy revelation. Thou didst illumine my outer being with the morning light of thy favor. Splendors of the day spring of thy revelation, even as thou didst illumine my outer being with the morning light of thy favor. the extended version. Good morning. We have a couple of other people that have joined us, and my vision's too bad to see. Let's see. We have Hushang. Good morning, Hushang. How are you? And that looks like Bezat. Good morning, Bezat. And is that Alex and Maria Carlberg?
Yes, it is. Good morning.
I believe
Hi,
it is.
everyone.
We're good. Good morning. It's great that you joined us. I see something up here in the Facebook stream, which is an even tinier screen. I just thought maybe for just a second, we'd acknowledge these folks too, because most of the time we don't have a chance to. Oh, that's Farhad, who's coming in two different ways. And guess who else is here?
Nini.
Huh?
Nini?
No Nini.
No
Nini's
Nini.
working hard right now. I
Who
talked to
else
her
is
this morning. My sister Amazah. Hello, Amazah. How are you?
Good morning, Amazing.
How you doing? We're so glad you could join us. Now, folks, well, let's start with a prayer. Let's start with a prayer. Let's just start with a prayer for unity. Oh my God, unite the hearts of thy servants and reveal to them thy great purpose. May they follow thy commandments and abide in thy law. Help them, O God, in their endeavor and grant them strength to serve thee. O God, leave them not to themselves, but guide their steps by the light of thy knowledge, and cheer their hearts by thy love. Verily, thou art their helper and their Lord. Well, Daryl, today we're at chapter 10. Chapter 10. And again, as always, what's the book we're using?
We're using Proofs of Baha'u'llah's Mission.
Just a little personal note. You know, when we made the decision, it was Daryl's idea I should be forthcoming. It was Daryl, because when we finished with the previous book, we were wondering, you know, what should we do next? And this was your idea, and I'm so glad you came up with it. Because number one, it really obviously gives us a lot more insight. But also, we were like deep into this book, and I just happened to go back and look at the first page. And guess what this says? It says, to Tony, November 12th, 1995, Aloha Pa, Happy and Raison Dobbs.
All right.
And Raison, of course, as we know, has gone on to the spiritual realm. Yes, he's passed on. But they gave me this book the day that I declared.
Oh, that's
why
fantastic.
I'm like, whoa, anyway, just a little personal thing there. But today we are continuing, of course, reading from the Proofs of Baha'u'llah's Mission. And today's chapter it's a sentence again. People in every age have opposed the manifestation. And there's Joan. Good morning, Joan. How are you? People in every age. We're so glad you could join us. And she's where? In Tennessee?
I believe so.
In Tennessee. We're glad you could join us.
Thank you.
People in every age have opposed the manifestation. Now, we've covered so much up to this point, the necessity of recognizing the manifestation of God, the fact that every manifestation of God brings a new revelation, brings in a spiritual springtime. It's a time of creation, of spiritual power and so forth. And yet, as the ages pass, there's always the need for a new revelation, a new manifestation of God. And we are sharing this message because I always like to preface it because we believe, but no, I'm going to take the we believe out. The manifestation of God for this day
It's Baha'u'llah.
is Baha'u'llah. It's Baha'u'llah. We don't have to qualify that anymore. It's Baha'u'llah. But it's also the truth that just as this started, just as this as the title of this chapter says, people in every age have opposed the manifestation. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, man. I'm going to start, but I'm not going to start this from there. I'm going to let you start that, but I'm going to preface it by the last thing we read last week. Here's what we finished with last week. This is coming from Baha'u'llah. Behold, how as soon as I revealed myself, ye have rejected my truth and turned away from me, and have been of them that have regarded the signs of God as a play and pastime. Will ye be content with that which is like the vapor in a plain, and be willing to forego the ocean whose waters refresh by virtue of the will of God the souls of men? Woe unto you for having repaid the bounty of God with so vain and contemptible a thing. And this is to me, this pivotal statement that he says, ye are indeed of them that have rejected me in my previous revelation. Would that your hearts could comprehend. If you could only understand, would that your hearts could comprehend. Take heed that ye be not of them that have rejected that which hath been sent down unto them from the heaven of God's transcendent glory. And yet, here's the next chapter.
Yep.
People in every age have opposed the manifestation. So this opposition is not new. It's just, yeah. So Daryl, please.
This opposition is the same opposition that is faced and has been faced by every manifestation.
Yeah.
And Baha'u'llah is just the most recent of those manifestations.
Yeah.
Who faces the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, consider the past. How many, both high and low, have at all times yearningly awaited the advent of the manifestations of God in the sanctified persons of his chosen one? How often have they expected his coming? How frequently have they prayed that the breeze of the divine mercy might blow and the promised beauty step forth from behind the veil of concealment and be made manifest to all the world. And whensoever the portals of grace did open and the clouds of divine bounty did rain upon mankind and the light of the unseen did shine above the horizon of celestial might, they all denied him.
They all denied.
And turned away from his face, the face of God himself. Refer ye to verify this truth to that which hath been recorded in every sacred book. Ponder for a moment and reflect upon that which hath been the cause of such denial on the part of those who have searched with such earnestness and longing. Their attack hath been more fierce than tongue or pen can describe. Not one single manifestation of holiness hath appeared, but he was afflicted by the denials, the repudiation, and the vehement opposition of the people around him. I'll say that again.
Please.
Not one single manifestation of holiness hath appeared, but he was afflicted by the denials and the repudiation and the vehement opposition of the people around him. So this is not new. This is every manifestation faces the same opposition.
Yeah.
Examine the wondrous behavior of the prophets and recall the defamations and denials uttered by the children of negation and falsehood. Perchance you may cause the bird of the human heart to wing its flight away from the abodes of heedlessness and doubt unto the nest of faith and certainty.
Could you read that again?
Sure.
Because I only say that because I'm only asking you to do that because I just love how Baha'u'llah and just not just Baha'u'llah, but especially Baha'u'llah and Abdul Baha, they use these metaphors that help you visualize what they're saying. And to me, this is just one of those metaphors. I mean, he could just say, well, I won't even try and make it, something that's just simple language. It's almost, I think, almost sacrilegious, and yet it can help us understand. But just read that metaphor again, the bird of the human heart, or what, just do that again, please.
Examine the wondrous behavior of the prophets and recall the defamation and denials uttered by the children of negation and falsehoods. Perchance ye may cause the bird of the human heart to wing its flight away from the abodes of heedlessness and doubt unto the nest of faith and certainty.
So yeah, the faith and certainty. Think about that. A bird, the nest is home.
That's right.
And yet so many people, it's obviously very, very common. That's what this whole chapter is about, that there are those people that don't heed the new revelation. They don't heed it, they doubt it. And yet if they would acknowledge it and even examine it.
Yeah, it goes back to something further when they first start talking about new revelations and new manifestations, because most people, when they are introduced to religion, their religion becomes the religion of their parents.
Yes.
And the parents before them. So this rejection of a new manifestation is in some ways be expected.
Yeah.
Because our parents are locked into traditions and locked into religious ideas that were for a previous time. So this can be somewhat expected, that any new manifestation is going to meet with some objection.
Yes, and yet the next three words, what Baha'u'llah is telling us all to do.
Judge thou fairly. I adjure thee by God. What proof did the Jewish doctors adduce wherewith to condemn him, who was the Spirit of God, Jesus Christ, when he came unto them with truth? What could have been the evidence produced by the Pharisees and the idolatrous priests to justify their denial of Muhammad?
Now, I also want to, well, go ahead, finish the sentence.
Of Muhammad, the apostle of God, when he came unto them with a book that judged between truth and falsehood, with a justice that turned into light the darkness of the earth, the enraptured hearts of such as had known him. Indeed, thou hast produced in this day the same proofs which the foolish divines advanced in that age. Unto this testifieth he who is the king of the realm of grace in this great prison.
What I was getting ready to point out is just how seamlessly in this particular passage Baha'u'llah flows from the mention of Jesus Christ to the mention of Muhammad. Yes. Yeah. Judge thou fairly, I adjure thee by God. What proof did the Jewish doctors adduce wherewith to condemn him, who was the Spirit of God, Jesus Christ, when he came unto them with truth? What could have been the evidence produced by the Pharisees and the idolatrous priests to justify their denial of Muhammad, the apostle of God, when he came unto them with a book and so forth? It's just, again, even in the writing, you can see this unity, this oneness, and how, they all still are met with the same resistance and opposition. Yeah. Okay. This next part is coming from Abdul Baha.
Let's do a song.
Let's do a song.
Let's do a song.
Let's do a song. I've changed the song. You probably noticed. I changed the song.
All righty.
You got hands.
I got it.
Let me tell you all the story about Baha'u'llah. He was humble, he was holy, the glory of God. But they took him and they chained him in a prison underground, in that dark and dirty sea of Chal. They took him 3 flights down. Oh, they had my Lord in shackles. He was tortured and bound down those dark and narrow stairways. There was sorrow all around, with the weight of heavy chains just bearing him down. But God said, my child, I will deliver you from 3 flights down. They took it 3 flights down, in that prison underground. One way in, one way out, when no joy could be found. But he had God on his side, and he was glory bound, and God said, my child, I will deliver you from pre-Christ and down. Every time his enemies, they thought that they had won. No matter just how bad it seemed, their plans would come undone. When it seemed like times were darkest, like evil was gonna win, the omnipotent, the all-bountiful would step right on in. They took him 3 flights down in that prison underground. One way in, one way out, where no joy could be found. But he had God on his side, and he was glory bound. And God said, my child, I will deliver you from 3 flights and down. Now sunshine follows shadow, new dawn follows night, but doings of the wrong are overcome by right. As God can bring us happiness and take away our pain, he gave my Lord the victory, and in triumph now he reigns. They took him 3 flights down in that prison underground. One way in, one way out, when no joy could be found. But he had God on his side, and he was glory bound. And God said, my child, I will deliver you from 3 flights and down. Now everybody say 3 flights and down in that prison underground. One way in, one way out, when no joy could be found. But he had God on his side, and he was glory bound. And God said, my child, I will deliver you from 3 flights and down. So when your soul feels heavy, when there's trouble all around, just think about Baha'u'llah in that prison underground. God is on your side, and his love, it knows no bounds, and he can lift you out of trouble when you're feeling like you're 3 flights down. You know they took him 3 flights down in that prison underground. One way in, one way out, when no joy could be found. But he had God on his side, and he was glory bound. And God said, my child, I will deliver you from 3 flights and down. Yes, he said, my child, I will deliver you from 3 flights and down. And you know he did deliver my Lord from 3 flights down. 3 flights down. 3 flights down. 3 flights down. Okay. I like doing that. We haven't done that in a while.
True.
Yeah, that's why I messed up on the chord change. But we'll just move on. Now, this next passage is actually coming from Abdul Baha, and it's pretty powerful. You want to continue?
I lost my spot.
From the beginning of the world.
From the beginning of the world until the present time, Each manifestation sent from God has been opposed by the embodiment of the powers of darkness. From the beginning of the world until the present time, each manifestation of God, sent from God, has been opposed by an embodiment of the powers of darkness. This dark power has always endeavored to extinguish the light. Tyranny has ever sought to overcome justice. Ignorance has persistently tried to trample knowledge underfoot. This has, from the earliest stages, been the method of the material world.
I have to stop you, Daryl. I've got to stop you there.
Okay.
I'm just thinking, and I was thinking this actually when I read it before, but think how appropriate this, how accurate this statement is by Abdu'l-Baha. These statements are by Abdu'l-Baha, even aside from talking about the coming of the manifestation of God. Could you read that brief paragraph again?
From the beginning of the world until the present time, each manifestation sent from God has been opposed by an embodiment of the powers of darkness. This dark power has always endeavored to extinguish the light. Tyranny has ever sought to overcome justice. Ignorance has persistently tried to trample knowledge underfoot. This has, from the earliest ages, been the method of the material world.
Tyranny has ever sought to overcome justice. Ignorance has persistently tried to trample knowledge underfoot. He could have written it today.
Today, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I put a star by that paragraph and I reread it. I don't know how many times, but reread it because it's so there. It's like if this were on Facebook, somebody could put one of those little nailed it emojis.
Exactly.
Nailed it, the hammer on it, nailed it. Yeah.
In the time of Moses, Pharaoh set himself to prevent the Mosaic light being spread abroad. In the day of Christ, Annas and Caiaphas inflamed the Jewish people against him, and the learned doctors of Israel joined together to resist his power. All sorts of calumnies were circulated against him. The scribes and Pharisees conspired to make the people believe him to be a liar, an apostate, a blasphemer. They spread these slanders throughout the whole Eastern world against Christ and caused him to be condemned to a shameful death. In the cause of Muhammad also, the learned doctors of his day determined to extinguish the light of his influence. They tried the power of the sword to prevent the spread of his teaching. In spite of all their efforts, the Sun of Truth shone forth from the horizon. In every case, army of light vanquished the powers of darkness on the battlefield of the world, and the radiance of the divine teaching illumined the earth. Those who accepted the teaching and worked for the cause of God became luminous stars in the sky of humanity. Now, in our own day, history repeats itself.
Wow. And again, I mean, Abdu'l-Baha gives, 3 examples. He talks about Moses. In the time of Moses, Pharaoh set himself to prevent the Mosaic light being spread abroad. And once again, just like Baha'u'llah,
Talks about Christ.
Yes.
That's right.
In the day of Christ, Annas and Caiaphas inflamed the Jewish people against him, and the learned doctors of Israel joined together to resist his power. In the case of Muhammad also, the learned doctors of his day determined to extinguish the light of his influence. So can you imagine? No, you can't. None of us can imagine. But I think maybe we just need to appreciate what every manifestation of God has to go through, and yet they go through it.
And the fact that they go through it is one of the things that distinguishes a manifestation of
Yes.
God from just any old prophet.
Yes, because there are people
Because
that
they all go through
Mhm.
the same process.
Yeah.
So a manifestation of God goes through a process that is something different from what just someone who calls himself a prophet goes through.
Right.
And the thing that needs to be remembered is that with all of the manifestations of God, their messages are relatively the same and have gone all around the world.
Mhm.
All around the world in an age and time when we didn't have the internet,
Right.
didn't have radio
Good
and
point.
TV. All of their messages have gone all over.
Excellent point. Excellent point. And that means it must be a pretty powerful message.
It's a powerful message,
Yeah.
and it comes from someone or something other than those manifestations.
Yeah.
It comes through them.
Yes.
So-
Yes. And this last passage is coming from Baha'u'llah again. And this is Baha'u'llah speaking to basically just telling people, again, it's look how every time this happens, every time a
Pay
manifestation
attention.
comes. Yes. He's saying, witness how every time the day star of divine bounty hath shed the light of his revelation upon the world. I like that title.
Mhm.
Witness how every time the day star of divine bounty hath shed the light of his revelation upon the world, the people of his day have risen against him and repudiated his truth. They who were regarded as the leaders of men have invariably striven to hinder their followers from turning unto him who is the ocean of God's limitless bounty. I'm going to repeat that again. They who are regarded as the leaders of men have invariably striven to hinder their followers from turning unto him who is the ocean of God's limitless bounty. Thou hast known how grievously the prophets of God, his messengers and chosen ones, have been afflicted. Meditate a while on the motive and reason which have been responsible for such a persecution. At no time, in no dispensation, have the prophets of God escaped the blasphemy of their enemies, the cruelty of their oppressors, the denunciation of the learned of their age, who appeared in the guise of uprightness and piety. I'm going to read that again. I think I kind of jumbled that up too much. At no time and no dispensation have the prophets of God escaped the blasphemy of their enemies, the cruelty of their oppressors, the denunciation of the learned of their age, who have appeared in the guise of uprightness and piety. Day and night. I like that, who have appeared in the guise. That's what kind of threw me, like in the guise of uprightness and piety, in the disguise of uprightness and piety. Day and night, they pass through such agonies as none can ever measure, except the knowledge of the one true God, exalted be his glory. Yeah. And then Baha'u'llah refers to himself, as he often does, as this wronged one. This wronged one. Consider this wronged one. Though the clearest proofs attest the truth of his cause, though the prophecies he in an unmistakable language hath made have been fulfilled, though in spite of his not being accounted among the learned, his being unschooled and inexperienced in the disputations current among the divines, he hath rained upon men the showers of his manifold and divinely inspired knowledge. When I read this, I think of two other manifestations. I think of Jesus.
Mhm.
He was in the synagogue and he's,
That's right.
yeah. And people were wondering, how can you're too young to know this. Basically, that's obviously my interpretation, but you're too young to know this. How could this be? And then I think of the Bob.
Right.
For those of you who don't know about the Bob was the predecessor of Baha'u'llah. He is to Baha'u'llah as John the Baptist was to Jesus. But the Bab, if you recall, he was sent to school. He was being raised by his uncle. Uncle sent him to school. Teacher brought him back and said, hey, I can't teach him anything. I can't teach him anything. Yeah. And then his uncle chastised him and said, like I told you, don't kind of keep a lid on it. I just think I'm sure those aren't meant to be funny. They're meant to show the majesty of the manifestation. But can you think of the frustration of a teacher?
Of course.
And you've got this child who, is so eloquent and so learned because they've got that innate knowledge. I don't know why, but I have the urge to do a song. We just did a song. You think we should just go ahead and finish?
Sure, let's finish and then do a song.
Okay. All right. I forgot where I was. He hath rained upon men the showers of his manifold and divinely inspired knowledge. Yet, behold how this generation hath rejected his authority and rebelled against him. He hath, during the greater part of his life, been sore tried in the clutches of his enemies. His sufferings have now reached their culmination in this afflictive prison into which his oppressors have so unjustly thrown him. God grant that with a penetrating vision and radiant heart, thou mayest observe the things that have come to pass and are now happening, and pondering them in thine heart, mayest recognize that which most men have in this day failed to perceive. I'm going to read that again, because while this is not necessarily a prayer, to me it's like a prayer from Baha'u'llah, praying for us to see, the truth here. God grant that with a penetrating vision and radiant heart, thou mayest observe the things that have come to pass and are now happening, and pondering them in thine heart, mayest recognize that which most men have in this day failed to perceive. Daryl, could you please read that last part there?
Please God, he may enable thee to inhale the sweet fragrance of his day, to partake of the limitless effusions of his grace, to quaff thy fill through his gracious favor from the most great ocean that surgeth in this day, in the name of the ancient King, and to remain firm and immovable as the mountain in his cause.
Wow.
Please God, he may enable thee to inhale the sweet fragrance of his day, to partake of the limitless effusions of his grace, to quaff thy fill through his gracious favor from the most great ocean that surgeth in this day, in the name of the ancient King, and to remain firm and immovable as the mountain in his cause.
I have to stop. This is a little out of tune. You can tell too. Just maybe not as bad as I thought. There was a light shining in Akka. There was a light, it shone all around. A new revelation of God's loving guidance. One soul, sharing a journey. So many souls seeking the light, hearing a voice whispering inside them, heeding the call, risking their all to do what was right. But so many tried to stop it from blowing. So many tried to put out that fire. But lovers of truth in this new dispensation knew they had found God's love come down, their heart's desire. And there was a light shining in our gut. There was a light, it shone all around, a new revelation of God's loving guidance. One holy light, it lit up the night, the world streaming down. There was a light shining, it shone all around, a new revelation, God's loving guidance. One holy light, it lit up the night, the words streaming down. One prison cell made oh so holy, God's revelation there in the dark. This sun of truth, this blessed beauty, bringing God's love from up above into our hearts. And there was a light shining in our gut. There was a light, it shone all around, a new revelation of God's loving guidance. One holy light, it lit up the night, the words streaming down. One holy light, it lit up the night, the words streaming down. One holy light, it lit up the night, the words streaming down.
So Kambiz, do you have something for us today, sir?
Yes, sure. I have a short prayer which I'm going to chant and also play it with my oud. والله متوجه لالا دیده به ملکوت غیب جبروت باز کن و به این مناجات آغاز نیاز کن که ای مهربان تو سرد کن و بپوش خطا از ما عطا از تو جفا از ما وفا از تو گناه از ما پناه از تو بیماری از ما شفا از تو بپوش و بیامرز وفا کن پناه ده شفا بخش عین
Thank you.